Hello, I am so happy that we're here, Orinthia. I'm going to let you go ahead and introduce yourself, and then we're just going to dive into a conversation about what's it like to work with me. So, who are you?
So I'm Orinthia Harris, and I'm a STEM consultant who's currently pursuing a PhD in education. And then I also have a ministry called Obedient Heart. And I'm a mom, and I have 4 kids.
Yes, yes, all of that, and a wife.
And a wife. Yes, I'm sorry. A wife and a mom with 4 kids. Sorry, that shit came first.
Hubby, no offense, hubby. You're top and center.
Yes.
On her mind. Trust me.
Really.
Oh, that's so wonderful. So, what was going on before in your both business and with your PhD and your ministry before you started working with me? And I know we've just gotten started, but what was going on? What were you experiencing?
So before we started, there was no clarity. And I know we just started working, but in the short amount of time that we've worked together, I've gotten clarity about what it is that I'm supposed to do and focus. So there was like a complete lack of focus. And then there was also, I didn't really value what I was doing because I wasn't salaried from a company, right? And I was pursuing all these paths that other people didn't necessarily sanction because my number one priority was the home. But I was doing all these other wonderful things. And once I started working with you, I was like, wait, I am doing all these wonderful things. And so there was like a sense of clarity and focus, which is awesome.
Yeah. I love it. I was thinking back to the meeting you recently had at the organization that you do training with. And what would you say, you've gotten the clarity, you've gotten the focus, but in what area specifically, or can you just delve a little more into where you've gotten the most clarity? Again, for those who are watching, we've been working together for a month, so it really is brand new and fresh. But where you've already gotten the clarity and where you've, if you could talk about that.
So because I teach and I train, I do a lot of different things, and I'm really good at training in a lot of different areas. But what you've taught me is that I need to position myself as an expert in my field as an early childhood educator. And to me, that helps me to say no to opportunities and yes to my purpose, because all these opportunities were flooding in, and it was like my plate was so jumbled and I felt like crazy, but when we talked, I gained clarity, like, no, you can't market to everyone. Like, that's the big myth. And I was like, right. And you can't be all things to all people, because that's what I was trying to do. Because I was like, I'm a teacher, give me the content and I can train you, but you can't, it just left me like, wah! And my husband was like, what do you do? What do you do? Because this week you train these people, this week you train this people. And I was spreading myself so thin that I wasn't able to monetize my gift, because I was piecemealing pennies here, pennies there, dollar here, dollar there, just grasping at any opportunity to get money instead of positioning myself as an expert in my field. And so that's where the clarity really came in.
I love it. And I brought that up because the transformation that you experienced, with the project that your organization, the organizations you partner with, is currently going, and how God once you received that clarity, and how God elevated you from one position to another position, kind of overnight.
Yeah.
So that was fantastic. What would you say to? Let's talk about, and what would you struggling with in relation to being obedient, as your ministry is Obedient Heart, being obedient to God's call and being Christ-centered and Spirit-led in your business? Where were you before we started, and where are you now? Has any things happened in that area?
Okay, so the biggest struggle is monetizing my gift and being afraid to ask for what I'm worth. And so being afraid to say, no, not right now. That's not my focus when it's a ministry opportunity. And then also saying, well, if this is what you need, these are my prices, right? So that was a big barrier. And that's something, like, we've only been working with each other for a month. And I think the biggest breakthrough is that is a barrier, because you can't move forward until you know where you are. So that is a mindset barrier, and that I'm going to have to shift that. And there's work involved. And I think doing the hard work to get past that so that I can be focused and monetize and really get what I'm worth, which is what God wants. But I think the mindset is, I'm just gifted, so I'm just going to be great and all this money is going to fall in my lap. And that's not true. It's not true. And so actually physically learning how to be a business and how to market and all those steps, it is hard work. It's hard work.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest breakthrough. Wait, this is going to be work.
I love it. I love it. What I love about it is the honesty, right? Because it is hard work, both internally, the mindset and shifting, and then the physical. I have to, make a phone call, write an email, do this. There's some inner work and there's some external work that's involved, and you embracing that. What I love is that you're embracing it. You're not running from that. You're not running from that. So yeah, it's going to be really fun. We'll do one more of these, maybe 6 months out and a year out, and to see more of the transformation and the monetization. What would you say to those women who are on the fence? I mean, they've thought about working with me. God maybe has told them to work with me, and they're on the fence, whether it's because of their role as a wife, as a mother, or there's a trust issue or a doubt issue. What would you say? And how did you overcome your challenges to saying yes?
So it took me about a year to get to the point where I'm like, this is what I have to do. And I think the biggest thing that, if you're on the fence, is you cannot do this alone, right? Mm-hmm. Someone has to usher you into the next level. That's a rule. It's like gravity. You throw it up, it comes down. So you're on that level, and you know what it takes to get to that level. We're not. So you need someone to help you get there. It's like, you don't graduate high school without teachers, right? Does that make sense? So you go to high school and you have teachers to teach you what you need to do to graduate. For example, if you go to medical school, you don't go to medical school and they inject you with something, you come out a doctor. No, seriously. You go to medical school, they point you to what to read, they give you assignments, and at the end of 6 years or whatever, you're a doctor. It works for everything. And so I think for people that are on the fence, we think because God has gifted us and we have these talents that it's just going to magically happen, right? But it doesn't magically happen for anything else. And that's what I had to come to. And God was like, why do you think you can get to that level by yourself? You get nowhere else by yourself. And yes, my brother, who's a pediatrician, he was gifted in the sciences. We all knew he was going to be a doctor before he was a doctor, but he still had to go to school. So that's what I would say. If you really are yearning to get to the next level in your business, and you're yearning to see God monetize what he's put you on the earth to do, you cannot do that without help. You can't.
Okay. Yeah. I love that. Let's just like break it down, because there is a lot of demystifying that needs to be done in terms of how to get to our next level as business owners, as Christ ambassadors in the marketplace. What, and so, yeah, I think you did share with me that it took you a year before you actually even reached out to me, right? Yep. There was things that were going on behind the scenes. What would you tell the people who, what's it like to work with me? Like what, really what's it like to have Althea as your coach and mentor? What can you expect? What will you know for sure?
You can expect for her to break those barriers down. Barriers that you don't even know are there, and expose those things that are stopping you from getting to where you need to go. And so for most Christ-centered female entrepreneurs, we're really gifted. We think we have these growth mindsets, and we think we got this. So initially when you sign up, you're going to be like, it's going to be me and Althea, and we're doing this, and we're going to the next level. And then you have that first consultation, and you're like, whoa. I got work to do. Like, this is not, it's not going to be this cakewalk, rah-rah thing. It's going to be work. But med school is work. Law school is work. Anything worth having is work. And so she is going to break down those things that are hindering you from elevating, and things that we've been so comfortable with that we don't even know exists. Like, there's things that you've uncovered in me in these last month that I was like, whoa, like, what? Like, and so I think that's the biggest thing. And coming in as a new person working with you, to know that there are things that are stopping you. You don't even know it. You don't even. And you're going to uncover those things so that you can get past those things, so that you can move up to the next level. Because if you don't know where you are, you can't get to where you need to be. And a lot of new Christ-centered female entrepreneurs, we think we know where we are. But then you like, nope. This is where you are, boo. And I'm like, this is where I'm at. And then it's like silence, like, say la, pray, help me, Jesus.
Well, I can also say, this is fantastic. It absolutely is work. There is a rigor into my coaching. It is high level, and there is laughter. There is, I do my best to try to inject humor, but there is a high level of coaching and mentoring that clients will receive. Anything else that you want to share? I love it. So you had to go through your own internal realization before you picked up the phone, and we had a conversation to enroll. And then already you've gotten, made clarity and focus and awareness of where you are, what's stopping you, and anything else you want to share. It's been fantastic.
I just think people who are on the fence should really invest in themselves, because it's an investment, right? And you have to be willing to pay for where you want to be, where you want to go. Like, my brother had to pay for med school so that he could become a doctor, right? So if this is where you want to go, then you need to be willing to invest in yourself, and an investment in yourself, in your business, so that you can get to that next level. And that's how I look at it. Like, I pay to go to school, and when I come out of school, this is where I'm going to be. And you can already see, it's like, for me, it's like first semester of freshman year, but I already see the things that she's pointing me to, the things that she's opening my mind to, exposing me to, are things that I never would have gotten if I didn't hire you as a coach. I would have never gotten it. I would have still been going around the same mountain like the children of Israel in the wilderness, trying to find things that you already clearly have in abundance, and abundance of wisdom, guided by the Holy Spirit, which you can't get everywhere, right? There's a lot, and there's other thing. I looked at other coaching programs. I did. several of them, because it took me a year. And a lot of coaching programs are prepackaged, right? But I think for you like really do a good job of saying, this is what you're saying you need. I'm going to my prayer closet. This is what the Spirit is speaking. Now let's talk about it. Like, that is so personal. You can't get that everywhere. You know what I mean? I think that's what separates your program from other programs, even other Christian programs, because it's not like prepackaged syllabus and on March 30th, this is what we're covering. No, we don't know what we're covering March 30th, because we got to take it to the Lord in prayer, and we got to come back and say, based on what you said you need, based on me praying about it, and it's always spot on. Like, down to the song you play before we start. I'm like, oh God, It's just, that's what separates your program from other programs. Just really, it's real personal. Like, it hits you. I know you haven't given this spiel to anybody else, and this is for Orinthia, and that makes it, to me, it's worth it, because it's not cookie cutter. Everybody's going to get this. No, everybody's not going to get the same thing. So everybody doesn't need the same thing.
Right. Yes, absolutely. In fact, today was pretty powerful when the Lord told me to read this devotional. I'm like, okay.
I have no idea.
And wow. Good. Here's the last question. So, you have a full plate. Your home is your first ministry. You're very involved with your children, and they're school-age children, and you're committed to your marriage, being happy, having a happy marriage. What would you say to the person's like, oh my gosh, I see this. You're telling me it's a lot of work, and I have a lot on my plate. I'm concerned that I won't be able to manage it all. How have you been able to manage it? What would you say to someone?
So if you have a lot on your plate, right? There's just a ton on your plate. I feel like with your program, you put everything in its place. So you show me how to take everything that's on my plate and put it in its proper container. So it's not like, oh, now Althea's on the plate. It doesn't work like that. You don't hire and you don't get a coach. You'll just have lots of stuff on your plate all the time, and no one to help you sort those things into their proper containers. So it's like if your house is a hot mess and you hire an organizer to come in. You're not like, oh my goodness, that's just another thing to do. No, you're happy they're coming in so that they can put everything in its place. And then when they leave, you're like, okay, that's how I feel like after our emails, after our calls. Like, I come and I feel overwhelmed, and then I feel like, wow, okay. Here's what I need to do. Now, that thing I need to do may be a difficult thing. It may be a challenging thing, but at least I know what I need to do as a person with all this stuff on my plate. It's all in its proper container. So don't think of it as something else jumping on the plate. Think of it as Althea coming in and really even getting rid of some stuff off that plate. Like, that don't need to be there. That don't need to be there. You know what I mean? So that's kind of what you're just going to spin your wheels if you cannot get there where you're trying to be without someone to take you there. You can't. And so you can either spin your wheels and say, I have so much, I can't, or you can hire Althea, get your life together, get your business together, and get to where you want to go, get to where you want to be in your business and in your family. Because it's really made my marriage better. I'm not even lying. Like, it's made my marriage better. I even wrote in my journal, my husband rocks, period. A month ago, that's not what I wrote in my journal, because I went back and what was I writing about him a month ago? And it was like, he's this, he's that. It makes everything better, because when you're uncluttered, you're able to see the blessings that God has given you, the talent that God has given you, and you have a clarity of focus, clarity of purpose, and you just feel better about all the stuff that you have going on, instead of, oh, it's all this stuff. You're like, man, I am blessed with all of this.
That's amazing. I love that. Oh, I'm so excited. I particularly love it because I know how important your marriage and your family life is to you, you know, and to fully be the business leader, the ministry owner, if that's if that's the title, ministry leader, probably, you know, how important that is, but particularly the home life, you know, you don't play around with that. So that's fantastic. That's fantastic. Well, thank you so much. And for those of you who are on the fence thinking about working with me, like, come on, let's do this. You don't have to be alone. You don't have to be spinning your wheel. So I'd love for us to work together. Yeah. Okay. Bye, hon.
Bye.